Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're taking a look at the Token Forest. Pretty top tier deck, doing really well, probably going to be pretty unchanged next month. You are relying heavily on 1 and 2 drops, hence why literally 90% of the deck is practically made from it. We've got a total of 35 cards that range between our 1 to our 2 drop range, with only Dance of Death and Elf Knight Cynthia as the other 2 cards. So this variation is pretty good. It does a good job at completely swarming the board with fairies and low cost things, boost with Elf Song, take advantage of Wooded Brambles, Elf Knight, things like that. Blessed Fairy along with the Roach combos, and you can pretty much just whittle your opponent down pretty quickly, along with controlling the board to a reasonable degree so you can pull off those combos. So we'll get right into some games and check it out. Our first matchup here is against Rune, one of the more common decks that are around lately. But not too much of a concern facing Rune. This deck does a good job at rushing out things, which is hard for Rune to deal with. Even Burn Rune will suffer a little bit from dealing with this deck. And pretty obvious this is going to be Burn Rune straight off the bat. So a Goblin start, always good. It's a little bit better than starting with, say, a Water Fairy in most cases. And thanks to the Airbound Barrage and Elfchild May, we should be able to quite easily trade off here. Using the Airbound Barrage in this way isn't always the most favourable option, but when you're facing a Magic Illusionist and you're using a bunch of low-cost followers, removing it from play as fast as possible is important. Other than that, you really want to mulligan for some early game cards. Anything in your 1-drop range is really beneficial. Try and get Water Fairies and Goblins preferably, and then maybe try and get a decent 2-drop to follow up, such as Elf Girl, which is actually a quite good card. So we do decide to take the all-in, all-out route, so we throw everything we can out. Worst case, we use the Water Fairies as fodder, and then get the Elf Song to go off from that, which isn't too bad at all. Could be in a lot worse spot. Luckily though, everything plays out pretty much how I want. The only thing I had to do was evolve this fairy, as I didn't really have any other way to get past this ward without, you know, having to ram that 1-1, which would have been not so good when you consider we're going to be using Elf Song. Mainly because Elf Song gives us both 2 fairies in our hands and will boost our board, which is quite beneficial in this situation. Can't really go wrong with that. Also, not so great, you know, they managed to get rid of that, but we get to keep our 4-4. And Wooded Brambles, a great draw. Do have to decide whether I want to play Elf Girl or not. I'd end up deciding not to and just flooding the board. Not a bad choice, because thinking about it, if they have AoE, they're going to do it anyway. And if they do, I'm actually not in too bad a spot anyway. With the Cynthia. Cynthia is a great card.
Here's what real magic looks like.
And thanks to Brambles, I can kill off this mage without taking any damage, and be able to hopefully set up for a decent Elf Girl later, which will probably be more beneficial.
It won't be long now. Hear me, Dryads.
So this play ended up working just fine.
Let's play.
I slipped up.
Neogenic Bolt, a little difficult to deal with. I mean, 3 rats, kind of annoying. But they've also just gave me something that I can easily boost. So even getting Mutagen isn't bad, because they act as basically fairies with a half decent effect. Especially when you consider how much I can just throw out here. Like, we literally just gained, what, +3 on everything total, with an extra 2 for the evolve, putting them to 5 and leaving them quite easily within range of our next turn. And since a clear isn't going to be very effective, we've pretty much already won. I mean, I can't think of anything great they could ask for that would really help much. Our next opponent is Dragon. A Grandmaster Dragon at that. Still haven't bothered to reach Grandmaster, I just found it to be a pain in the ass to have to grind it out, and usually I'm bouncing back and forward a lot, mainly because video creation does that to you, but I just haven't really been bothered. I really do want to make the push, it's just a matter of having the time to really grind it out. Most of my time I spend on Shadowverse is doing these videos for you guys. Outside of that, I'll play every now and then, or if there's an event on, like this chest event, I tend to play a bit more. Wood of Brambles, mainly because I really need something in my hand to combo off, and because Airbound Barrage can actually return that Brambles if need be. Of course, Dragon Ramp, how predictable. Anyway, straight off into the fairies. I mean, we just want to play as many as we can kind of get here, and we're just going to let this Brambles go, because we have got the second one in hand anyway.
I can't keep relying on you, Dragon.
Plus, next turn is going to be pretty reasonable, I think, when looking at it.
Everyone.
Give him some protection,
1, 2, 3.
boost up the board a little bit, get that face damage going. That's what I like about this deck. It's quite fun to play Token Forest, compared to, say, neutral B&B, which I really don't enjoy. At least from the experience that I've had with it.
Got each other. Sorry.
So, don't have much else. Wasn't really sure how I should take this, so after thinking about it a bit, I decided to use the Blessed Fairy and the Elf Song combo just to go for some decent damage. I mean, we can go for 8 straight off this.
You're done for.
And with Dance of Death, any big threats will be cleared quite easily. It's one of the half-decent reasons to run it, and why it's been such a good card for a long time now. Dragon Scyther though. Pain in the ass, especially 2 of them, wow. Now we gotta deal with double Dragon Scyther.
My feet are giving out on me.
Hear the dragons roar.
And no doubt we'll probably see the evolve, yep, there it is.
Now.
Since we have double dance, it's actually not too bad to play 1 here. Just to go for that extra 2 damage.
You follow behind.
And the Water Fairy is actually really good. It means we can play it out, and then worst case it dies, we get another one. Well, another fairy.
Bluest water.
Luckily, having 2 Dance of Death, the Sybil doesn't stand a chance. Although their healing is going to be absolute pain. Breath of the Salamander coming in hot. Now we need a good way to deal with all this. So,
All must come to an end.
I think my only decent play is to just flood as much as I can. So a couple of fairies getting out early, but they haven't got anything else. Of course, they had to drop Bahamut though. Of course they had to do the play they make. But Roach, really couldn't have asked for a much better play there. It actually gives me just over lethal with this Roach combo and Nature's Guidance. So we get 3 here. Plus the return and the evolve will put our Roach at 7. Making it a quite easy lethal here. We could have actually done without playing the extra fairy if we needed to. Actually no, we couldn't because we would have been one shot then. So we really needed that to be the combo to work it out. And we'll finish this video off by fighting another Rune deck, because Rune is still that popular.
Time for me to prove myself.
And more taunting because more people have Bloody Daria. Mind you, at least they got the nice Isabel sleeves, which I do have. I'm still after those carrot sleeves and haven't managed to find them. But no doubt that will be the aim after I make this video. Except I think the event... I'm not sure if the event is over yet by the time this video does come out. After all, most of these videos made a few days in advance. Just so I have a good backlog and time to make more. Or if something goes wrong, I've got, you know, enough content for you guys that I can have a day off here and there if needed. Plus, with all the decks that are around at the moment and me having so much time off, plenty of content to make. Alright, so, pretty average hand. This is about what you want normally. Being able to get rid of these effectively with Brambles is always great. Earth Rune, definitely popular. I don't see Earth Rune changing too much either with the next round of nerfs. Honestly, I see them probably hitting D-Shift and Blood maybe. I'm not sure how they'll go about that, but it'll be interesting. I really hope they don't hit Blood. I like Blood the way it is personally, and it's only really popular due to how common D-Shift was. But it'll be interesting to see. I think if we do see a nerf in D-Shift, it'll probably be Owl. I don't know how they'll go about it. Maybe just make it spell boost everything by one on Evolve. That way making it about on average with Levi. Not quite the same, but close. Who knows? Alright, get some nice trades. That's what I like about Bramble. Our hand is nicely stocked up. Plus, also look forward to next month. We should start hearing about what new cards and what new expansion will be launched. We should find out hopefully pretty soon for all that. And we can all enjoy the new cards and expansions and rotation, which I still need to talk about. Hopefully I'll have a video about that maybe before this, or maybe just after this video. I've just got to find the time to work out everything that's going to be in the rotation and not in the rotation.
Let's play.
So, fairies. Still a popular card, you know, fairies everywhere. And works really nicely with Elf Song.
May the forest be at peace.
Fortunately though, we don't really need to use Elf Song yet, because we're not going to be able to kill off this mage anyway, not without wasting an evolve. Which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to waste the evolve here.
I'm gonna rest for a bit. Ow! Going beyond dimensions.
So we're at a pretty big disadvantage,
My fictions will save you.
like stats wise here. The only advantage we've really got is the fact that we can at least do some decent trading now that we drew Elf Child. Although it is going to cost me that Nature's Guidance, which I would like to use on Roach more than anyone else.
Come on, let's play.
I'm all tuckered
But
out.
fortunately Elfchild lined up perfectly on both shots. It really wouldn't have mattered which way they went.
Let's play.
Either way I could have done trading and ended up in a good spot.
I'm so sparkly.
But trade a couple of these, throw 2 damage to face, make them lose any spells they may have.
Death is another fiction.
If they have none, that's fine, but they had 1, so turns out it was worth killing. Don't know whether it was Levi or not, but either way they had a spell, so worth getting rid of that. Now it's just a matter of going from here. So we do get another Nature's Guidance, which is perfect. Having a Nature's Guidance or an Airbound Barrage is always a good thing to have.
1, 2, 3.
So we do get the nice boost.
This ends here. I'm so
Thinking about it, using that Nature's Guidance is actually going to be more beneficial because I can actually pull the booster back to my hand and use it again next turn, hopefully. And Witch's Cauldron pretty much locks their board. All they can really do is trade and then hope to play something else, which has to go face due to Elfchild.
Don't hurt me.
Getting another Blessed Fairy play. Also, the Elf Song was a perfect draw, giving us massive amounts of damage here. Do decide to make the trade because they have only got 1 card in hand and I don't really want to be taking the damage for 9. Plus we have plenty of fairies to play the next turn out.
I am a fiction and a
So Wizard of Oz, even if they get something like Mutagenic, we're going to be okay. Lucky nothing there so far. Ooh, the Twin Guardian though, giving them a ward, but doesn't look like it's going to be enough.
Okay, sure.
And it's
I'll
not.
have to have this one.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you're enjoying all the content recently. Also make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.